that they keep coming back, and they come back time and time again. And even better, the real cherry on top of that cake, they tell their friends and their family. And then, hey presto, it's free marketing, it's free sales, and your business has longevity.
Hello and welcome back to the Master Your Business podcast, where I'm delighted to introduce you to Melissa Moore, also known as the Retail Advisor. Having worked in the retail industry for over 20 years with Irish and international brands, Melissa's clients benefit from her knowledge, experience, and her hands-on practical approach to provide solutions and initiate change. Melissa launched the Retail Advisor consultancy to empower retailers to reach their potential through sales growth, process implementation, and my favorite, excellence in customer experience. All the while, Melissa ensures that customers are at the heart of everything retail stores do. This episode is packed with practical suggestions and useful advice covering everything from human connection to sales and customer journeys. Enjoy. I am thrilled to be joined by Melissa Moore, the Retail Advisor. Welcome, Melissa.
Oh, Deirdre, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
And if you are not familiar with Melissa, please check out her own podcast, The Retail Tea Break. I'm going to steal your one line, Melissa, because I absolutely love it. In the time it takes to boil a kettle, less than 2 minutes, tell us about you and your business.
Oh, do you know what? You can tell we're in Ireland. We love an old cup of tea, so I'd be delighted to. So, as I said, I'm in the west of Ireland, having worked in the retail sector for about 23 years now. So both in London and then in Dublin and over in the west of Ireland. And I'm really lucky to work in an industry that I'm passionate about. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, I set up the Retail Advisor to kind of help and to empower retailers and also makers. So when you think of product makers, anything from people that sell pottery to skincare, I help all these people to kind of reach their sales goals, but also to improve their customer experience. So very much, I have to say, I think of myself as an imposter sometimes when it comes to customer experience, but actually I talk about the customer to retailers and makers all day, every day. So I'm really lucky to consult, to mentor. I lecture in retail to undergraduates as well. And I love delivering training. So I really feel that I'm very much embedded in the industry that I've been a part of for so long. But it's also great, and you know this, to be able to help and support business owners to just improve their daily lives, to allow them to have a day off, to improve their efficiencies and to grow their sales. But at the center of it all, what I'm really proud to say I do is that I'm putting the customer at the heart again of all these retail kind of these bricks and mortar stores, but also more importantly over the last couple of years to their online stores as well.
I love that. I love that. And you know, I think for many years in my past career, I had worked in banking, and people think, what does retail have to do with banking, right? But actually, I was a retail manager, and you've got retail managers in Primark and in loads of different stores as well. And so a lot of people don't often correlate the two, but retailing, will you explain in your words what retailing is? I'm sure you'll do a much better job than me.
Do you know what? I would absolutely put banking at the heart. And again, especially when it comes to our main streets and our high streets, traditionally you've had the newsagent, maybe the butcher, the baker. The bank is the heart of the community, because again, even today, I'm very lucky where I am that we actually still have a bank that's open. And it is the heart of the community. If I often do go in, you'll meet people you know, you'll be able to say hello. They might be fundraising for the local community. And that to me is what the heart of retail truly is. It's that atmosphere of, yes, you're selling things, but it's that community spirit. It's being the heart of the community where people go to buy gifts. They go to buy things that they might need or they might want. And banking to me is kind of the same. So it's very much seen as part of the high street or the main street. And I truly believe when it's customer facing, and again, that's a story for another day, that now the banks are pulling out of these kind of areas that we need them, but they do the same sort of job. They're chatting to customers, they're supporting them, they're helping them, enabling them to grow their businesses and maybe buy other things. So yeah, that is to me what retailing is in a nutshell. It is the camaraderie, it is the customer experience, and it's the buying and selling of goods.
Yeah, I love that. And I suppose a lot of my clients now, Melissa, a lot of them are service-based business owners. Some of them are solopreneurs and they don't necessarily have physical premises. Some might be in an office space. And where would you see retailing tying in for those types of business owners, or does it?
I actually think it does nowadays, because we're all selling something, even if it is a service. So regardless of whether you're a dentist or a doctor, or a solicitor, or you have a recycling company, you still have to meet the customer. So you have to understand the problems they're having, therefore the solutions you can give them. So much like the same, if you go into your local gift shop, or as you said, you go into Primark, you might be going in with a need in mind. You might not know what the solution is, but you're going in with a problem in your head. And actually, it's up to the retailer or the service provider to provide the solution. Because if they can do that, and if they can marry the two, so the problem and the solution, then you're going to hand over your money. And isn't that what every business owner wants at the end of the day, is that you hand over the money? But even better, and what I really love, is that you do it with an emotional connection. You give them the right product or the right service. And guess what? They come back. And isn't that the biggest dream, that not only have you gone after a new customer, but you've done such a good job that they keep coming back, and they come back time and time again. And even better, the real cherry on top of that cake, they tell their friends and their family. And then, hey presto, it's free marketing, it's free sales, and your business has longevity.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. And you're so right. It's 100%. It's that connection, isn't it? And it's the emotion that comes from people engaging with people.
It is. And you know what? The last 2 years has been truly testing. We know what we've all been through, but what I'm really finding now is that there is a bit of a lack of connection. And that's no one's fault. We were literally locked up, as a lot of people like to say. We were locked away. We were forced to maybe work online, to stare at a kind of screen, Zoom or Teams, or we were working via a phone, or we were isolated. Therefore, we haven't had that human to human connection. We haven't had that physical connection. And actually, people have started to lose the conversational skills they have. Some people I've noticed, especially recently, a little bit nervous of starting a conversation, having a chat, because we've kind of lost our way a bit. So again, for me, retailing is actually about the old-fashioned, traditional human skills that we would have seen years ago. And I think more than ever after the last 2 years, it is vital, whether you're a retailer or you're in banking, or whether you have a recycling, service, that you really build on that human connection, that you listen effectively, that you actually ask questions that you're truly interested in the answer to, and that you have the eye contact if you're face to face, or that you aren't tapping away on a computer screen when you're on the phone to someone, that you're focused on them. It's the simple things that, for me, give you longevity, that entices that customer to come back.
Yeah, it really is about caring about the person that you're engaging with, isn't it?
It is. And do you know what? Human skills are skills that we're never taught. When you think about it, human skills, leadership, conversational skills, empathy, which is vital when you're selling something, but we're never taught it. And also, these are things that can't be measured. Whereas we've all got KPIs, how many sales this month, how many customers did we talk to? But we don't measure the key things, because unless you can communicate properly, whether that's in an email or whether that's face to face, or if you can't have empathy and therefore be able to explain that you have the solution to the customer's problem, you're never going to get the sale.
I couldn't agree with you more. I find that communication piece really interesting. I have to say, it's something that I've looked into a lot. There's a fantastic book, if you've read it, Joe Navarro, What Everybody Is Saying. And for my online group recently, actually, I have invited a guest speaker to come in, and he talks about your face. So he's like, don't ask me what his tagline is, but it's a fantastic guy, and I'll share his details in the show notes, but it's all about communication, reading your face.
Yeah. It absolutely is. So when Maryband did the initial research in 1939, he was like, it's 8% the words. This shocks people. Like, I could be in a room delivering training, and they're like, hang on, so you've been talking to us for 2 hours, and actually we've only been listening to like 8%? And then the penny drops, because actually this is why I get so animated, or I slow down, or I speed up, or I pause. And people go, she shut up. Why has she been quiet? Because again, it's 38% is my vocal ability. So how engaging I am, how much I'm faking it. And I'd often say this to people in retail, they've been out the night before. I don't care. Fake it with your voice, sound super happy to be there, and your customer will really appreciate it. But of course, the massive thing we know is that the body language, which of course the face and the eye contact and the fact that I smile a hell of a lot, it's 54% of the communication is everything you see. So forget the fact that I could be waffling nonsense. If I'm engaged with you and I'm facing you and my shoulders and my feet are facing you and I'm looking at you, I've got your attention. And then you're really halfway there to either winning over the customer, getting the sale, and engaging with people. And it's, again, it frustrates me. Communication isn't taught. It seems to be like the last thing people think of, but it is vital, not only with customer experience, but also with sales.
Yeah, it really is. And that can be the thing that wins you business, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like listening to what your customer is saying and asking them questions, and that can be the thing that results in sales. And so talk to me, Melissa, about how would you describe the basic things that people need to get right to be good at retail?
For me, it really does come down to the basics. So if you have a physical store, simple things like, is it clean? And I genuinely mean that. So if you stand outside your shop or you stand across the road, are your windows clean? Is there rubbish outside your door? Like, can you imagine cigarette butts or litter? That's not enticing. So again, visually, and even just cleanliness on the back of COVID, is the store clean? Does it look enticing? So clean. Then the simple things, and again, I can hear my mother in my head as I say this, is everything priced? Like, how annoying is it as a customer? And remember, we always look at these things from a customer's perspective. How frustrating is it when you pick something up and there's no price? And the reason I mentioned my mother, God love her, she goes, oh, it's free. It's got to be free if there's no price on it. But again, it's a real barrier to people buying. You're frustrating your customer if you haven't been kind of and had enough cop on, or even just been really lazy that you haven't put prices up. So we've got clean, we've got priced. Is the store full? I kid you not. It is really shocking when you go into a shop and the first thing you walk into is maybe empty shelves or empty hanging space. That's not enticing. You don't want to look like you're closing down. I don't care if pallets and pallets of stock are out the back of the shop. If your doors are open, if you're trading, be polite enough and genuine enough to your customer to put your best face on. So therefore, when they're walking in, they want to see enticing displays, because again, we shop with our eyes. So I don't want to see cardboard boxes all over your shop. I don't want to see you using your shop as a warehouse space. I want you to wow me, to surprise me, to entice me to buy stuff I didn't even know I wanted, let alone the stuff I thought I was coming in for. It's so simple. So I suppose the final thing is, we've got cleaner, we've got everything priced. Is it full? And then the best thing then is the kind of the core customer experience to me in a physical shop. I want engagement. I want people to smile at me. I want people to say hello. So real basics to physical. And then, to be honest, you can turn that into e-com or online, because again, I don't want to land on your landing page and see all these sold out buttons. It drives me demented, because you know what? I don't have time, because we are now surrounded by screens and laptops and phones. If I'm going to come onto your landing site today, you're making me scroll down for more than a few seconds. Goodbye. I'm gone. I'm off somewhere else who actually has stock to sell me that I can pay my well-earned money for today. So again, we need to be mindful of what our customers seeing, but we're doing everything every single day with that customer in mind first. It's not what we want to do. It's not what's easy for us. We have to put the customer first.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really, really useful, I think, for people who are listening. So it's clean, it's priced, the place doesn't look like it's closing down.
Absolutely.
And the engagement piece, and it's interesting you say that. I've noticed some stores, for example, Home Store and More, they have done some turnaround in terms of their retailing, because every time you walk through a door now, they have a staff member there to greet you. What kind of impact do you think that makes?
Massive, because not only are you literally welcoming someone, but you're also a point of call. So if I'm going into a shop like Home Store and More, maybe I've never been, or maybe there's not one in my area, and I think I'm looking for something, isn't it great that actually there's someone there that straight away I can say, where's the plastic jugs, or where's the glass jugs? And I'm not then wandering around looking for someone, feeling a bit lost, feeling a little bit intimidated. There's someone there to help, but also there's someone there to offer me a basket. It's like, cha-ching, if my hands are free, I'm gonna buy more. So there's lovely things there, and just having a real human, which sounds crazy, but we don't see many anymore. Having someone there to just be there and be a presence and be support and say good morning or hello and mean it. And I just think it's really lovely. And again, it comes back to these old-fashioned retailing values of being there for the customer. And that's what this person is now when they're by the door. It's crazy. I've seen Radiant did a report late last year, and they said that 82% of people say a positive in-location experience. So just like your probably last experience at Home Store and More, you're more likely to go back. Because if you're setting that great example, if you're starting off that journey in the store in a positive way, well, then my goodness, people are going to be in a good mood. They're going to know there's someone there to help and support them.
And is there such a thing as too much? Like I've noticed this. Sometimes if I walk into a shop and there's nobody else in the shop, and sometimes you might necessarily want to have a conversation with the person in the shop. Where is the line for people? When should they stop trying to create that engagement?
Good retailers, good team members can read body language. So it comes back to the body language, but it's also about, it's okay to say good. So for me, it was always good morning or good afternoon. That's what I'm comfortable with. So if you've trained your team, and I do an awful lot of work on this, if you've trained your team to be comfortable and confident with who they are, they understand the store, they know the products, they can then spend the time with the customer. So for me, it was always good morning. Maybe for you, it could be, hello, how are you? So whatever is comfortable for you, you say to the customer. You're then going to get a reading quite quickly, because if they don't make eye contact, or if they smile or nod and then they walk on, they don't need you right now, but they know you're there. But of course, if you don't get this right and you say hello and they say hello, but they walk on because maybe they know what they're looking for, or maybe maybe they've been here before and they know they want to go upstairs, don't go after them. It's the people that I find that are untrained, who are unsure, who aren't nervous, that feel, I have to do customer service, I must be there for the customer, that almost then sits on their heels as they go around the store. How frustrating is that for the customer? That's adding no benefit. The main thing always is that the customer knows there's someone there when they're needed. So don't hound them, but my goodness, when you're there, be ready with the support about the service, about the product. Be ready to take something out of their hands and bring it to the till point. Be ready to offer the wrapping if that's what they do. Be ready to upsell if actually that's what they really need today. So it's about reading the signs, but being truly confident in who you are so that you can then deliver the best service to the customer.
Fantastic. And like, I can picture in my mind as well, I'm thinking of some of the businesses that I work with where they have their offices, but the person on the front desk is like the exact same thing. The location needs to be clean, prices, there might be prices on the wall are coming in, but the space needs to look like it's an occupied space or an office space, or it's appropriate for that business. And the exact same, the engagement piece needs to be right as well. Is there anything you would add in those situations, Melissa?
No, absolutely. I think, again, it really, and I think the last few years has been quite a leveler in that respect, that once there's someone as a point of contact and that it's exciting or enticing to walk up the steps to your office, that it is genuinely clean. Like, has someone taken the Hoover out this morning? Have we checked that the bins have been emptied? It's all the stuff that kind of makes us feel icky as customers or clients, it's always about putting the customers' footsteps first, their journey. What are they seeing today? Have I stuck a sign up on the front door with sticky tape? It's awful. So I think an awful lot of what I do in retail can be across the board. So especially when it comes to kind of selling. So even if you are sitting on reception and someone's ringing up about a product, that you're not literally waffling about the product. And I know you know this. It's actually that, what's the problem you've got? Maybe there's a better product we have. Maybe I can put you through to someone else in a different department, and that's their expertise. Because I love that. I'm a huge fan of Keenan and his book Gap Selling. And for me, and that's the way that book's written, it's not about retail, it's about every service and every product out there. And he always talks about never pitching your product. You've always got to be driven to the customer's problem, making life easier for them, and pushing what you do that way. So again, I think regardless of who you are in your business, it's having this game face on that it's always customer first. It's never about me, what I do, what my title is, what I'm selling. It's always about the customer.
Yeah, and that's great, because it doesn't matter then whether it's a retail space, an office space, it's regardless, it's always about the customer. And you brought something else to my mind as well that made me think of a client that I've worked with who has a beauty salon, and she would go mad about the boxes. You're talking about the crates, the stuff coming in the boxes. She'd go mad when the stuff would be left in. And she was talking about the girls with their bottles of Coke and things like that after lunch break, and the bottles of Coke would be up on the desk, and she's like, no more, that's all gone. Those are the exact things that used to drive me nuts as well when customers were coming into the location. So let's say to get teams on board so that they can see the impact that those things have in terms of, it's not necessarily cleanliness, but it's more tidiness and the impact that those things have. What do you suggest to people?
But actually, even when it comes to cleanliness, and you know what, it's like in our own homes, we probably all have our routines, we clean in a certain way. But is there always a spot that you miss? Is there something you don't like doing? So I'm thinking the tops of things. I'm thinking about the kind of the different areas. So that's why I always even say cleanliness. But again, it's about having routine or a roster or a plan to ensure that actually the depths of the fitting room, the top of the top shelves, is there areas that when you're walking up the stairs, the customers can see and you haven't dusted for 2 years? Again, where's the icky factor? Where's the stuff that you're so blindsided to see because you're in there every day? It's like, so it has to. But again, when it comes to tidy, you have to be walking around thinking and doing what your customer does. So when it comes to training, that's literally what I start with. I completely turn things around and I go, right, you're the customer today. And I give people a list of questions and I say, right, I want you to go out, put your blinkers on, be a customer, go and, look at these questions. What do you see? What's your feedback? What does it look like right now? And that's not kind of dissing or telling anyone off that whose job it might be to clean this area or to put the boxes away, but actually it's capturing a moment in time. So I don't like to call it a mystery shop, because I've had really bad experiences over the years of kind of management and C-suite using it in a really negative way. And to an awful lot of retailers, mystery shops have nasty connotations of, but I got 99%, praise me, thank me. But instead, what you tend to get is people go, why didn't you get 100? What was wrong with that 1%? And you know what? It's not my style. So really, when I go out and I train and we turn the tables and I might say, Deirdre, right, you're going to go out and look at a certain section. Here's the list of specific questions. So at least you've got guidelines to feel safe within. Come back to me, capture that moment in time. Tell me what it looks like now. And actually then what you start to see is a picture. So we gather a picture of that first moment. And maybe then in 3 or 6 months' time, we do it again, but we do it having had the training, having got everybody on board. And when everyone's on board and the culture's strong and there's that great internal service, I tell you, I've never worked with a client yet who hasn't gone up, who hasn't had an even better result the second time around. Because everyone understands that you're driving towards that same destination. And of course, if the standards are raised, if people are happy, your customers are happy. So for me, training is always win-win. You get to spend the time with the internal team, but at the end of the day, your customer sees it and sales go up. So for me, training is always so super valuable. It proves to the team on the shop floor, which tends to be in my case a lot of the time, it proves to them how serious you are because you're investing in them. But ultimately, the good retailers, those that really believe in the training and see it through, they see that success on their P&L at the end of the day.
That's incredible, Melissa. And like, in terms of the impact retailing has, not just on their P&L, but on the entire customer experience, how would you describe that? Or could you elaborate even more on what you've just said?
Do you know what? It's really interesting. And it's something that I would talk to my students about when I'm lecturing, because customer experience in some areas of retail is so new. So we're very used to talking about customer service. But when you say the term customer service to a lot of retailers, they think about that desk in the back of Dunnes Stores where you go to bring something back, or you go to moan or complain. So it means something very different. So actually, when it comes to customer experience in retail, I do often feel that I'm starting at kind of level zero, that we really start with this very simple explanation. But actually, again, if you think about it from your customer journey, maybe you bought petrol today, or maybe you were out for lunch last week. When you can start to think about these things from your point of view as a consumer, which of course we all are, because we're all out there spending in some capacity, you actually start to understand that it is a little journey. So whether that's you going to Blanchardstown or Dundrum or, you know, any of these fancy shopping centres or Kildare Village, if you're going for a pair of jeans, well, what else happens? Like, why aren't you buying a pair of jeans from your local boutique up the road? Why have you chosen to go to this destination? What is it that they've got? What else can they give you? How have you found the information? And when I start to lay it out like that, you see the light bulbs go off. It's like, aha, now I understand. Tiny, tiny little incidences or little aspects or touch points start to go together to literally make this journey up. And then they're like, well, right, what can I see that this has got to do with my business? So how are people finding us? How are we wowing them on our Instagram or on our socials or on our website? Is it married when they come into our store? Or actually, how difficult are we making the journey either in store or online? And then what are we doing for them afterwards? So like, are we really confusing the hell out of them by not kind of explaining the delivery process or the returns process? Are we manning our phones that we say is the customer service line? So it's all these tiny little things, but I kind of do feel with an awful lot of retailers right now, and again, because an awful lot of clients I work with wear so many hats, it's like we start at day one. We start at the beginning, but by the end of it, I found they're all truly embracing it, which is wonderful to see.
That is incredible, actually. And you're right. I can just visualize people not really understanding the whole customer experience thing, but because I get that as well, right, in the people that I work with, and most people that I talk to think that customer service is customer experience anyway. Yeah. That's like the big misnomer right there.
To me, it's a little dangerous, because if you're almost wanting, it's not that you're wanting the complaint, but if you only see customer service or customer experience as the reaction to the bad event, my goodness, you could do so much more, you could make so much more money, you could entice so many more customers if you understood that actually it's absolutely every touch point that the customer has with your brand, with your retail shop, even with your employees.
Even if they're online on Zoom or whatever, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic, Melissa. Oh my gosh, I'm down to the last question now, but I would talk to you about this all day because it's bringing back so many memories for me when I was literally in the throes of customer in the public and customer facing for so many years. But final question for you. What is coming up for you in the next 6 months?
Oh, I love that question. I wonder where we got this from. So, more seasons of the Retail Tea Break podcast, hence the question. I recognize that one. I'm loving having the podcast because, again, it's enabling me to have the conversations with people that I really want to talk to and also learn from. So when season 1 launched last year, I learned so much. And I kind of quietly said, look, if nobody listens, I've had so much value. I've had these amazing connections with people, but it is bringing value. And I'm really privileged to be able to have spoken to so many experts like yourself and retailers and product makers to kind of really just bring more industry knowledge, but also celebrate the good things that are happening. So very much back with another season of the Retail Tea Break podcast. And then other than that, I am lecturing, which I'm really enjoying. So both undergraduate and master's level, and that's to retailers and to makers as well, which again is something I'm really passionate about. I love the Irish kind of creator and maker community. I'm a huge fan. It's something I would buy an awful lot of. So again, I feel like a customer, and I'm also lecturing. And then training. I am really privileged to be able to go in and train and hold workshops with so many retailers up and down the country. Everything's back in person, which again has me hyped up, has me jumping around rooms. And that's gone global this year as well. So I'll be leaving on a jet plane, as they said, over the next few months, which is really wonderful. And then peppered in between all of that busyness, consulting. So again, it's getting that real deep dive into retail businesses to help them with their efficiencies, maybe with their stock control, and even just the simple things like we're saying, ensuring that the boxes go into the stock room, that they're not left on the floor, ensuring that the flow of the store is really good. So lots of consulting, a great bit of mentoring as well, because it's nice to be able to support people if they have a little niggly problem that maybe they only need a 1 hour chat with. So I'm really lucky, Deirdre. I love what I do. I'm delighted to be working with so many businesses this year, and long may it continue.
Absolutely, that sounds so exciting and very busy.
Very busy, but I'm thrilled. And again, look, the last 2 years has been catastrophic for the industry. So I'm really, really privileged to be able to help and support both physically, and also what I'm seeing a lot more of is, you know, a little bit of dodgy work having gone on online because we all moved online so quickly. So it's really helping retailers and makers sort out the online issues they have, drive, I think, the user experience to make it a bit easier, remove some of those barriers that we've put in place, and really engage and ensure that long-term that these e-com platforms are working for them and their customer in the best way that they can.
Yeah, fantastic, and really important actually. And Melissa, finally, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
People can find me at theretailadvisor.ie. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. You'll also find me, Melissa Moore, on LinkedIn, or you'll find the Retail Advisor on LinkedIn. And as I said, the Retail Tea Break podcast is available across all platforms.
So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining. It's been incredible having you here. And for anybody listening, please do check out Melissa's pages, get in touch with her, follow her. Share this podcast if you found it useful or know somebody who might benefit if they're in the retail space or just need to maybe level up their customer service. And of course, please comment below anything that you think is relevant or found useful from our chat today. And thank you again.